Everyone, this is Brian Sek here. Thanks for joining today's webinar. So we'll get started. Today we'll be talking about Desk Connect and how to synchronize your data between Desk and Salesforce. So we'll just start with some introductions here today. Once again, my name is Brian Sek, and I am the onboarding and training specialist here at Desk. And it's really my role to create content for Desk users to be able to learn how to use Desk. And we're always trying to think of more ways to better experiences for you guys to learn the product. So if you guys do have any feedback, please do reach out to us and let us know. All right, so before we begin, a few housekeeping items. Today's training portion of the webinar will last just about 20 minutes. During the training, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the GoToWebinar questions panel, and we'll get those answered towards the end. We will save some time towards the end as well for Q&A. As always, our sessions are being recorded, so if you'd like to watch the recording later as you set up your own instance of Desk Connect between Desk and Salesforce, or maybe you can't stay with us for the entire time, we will be emailing out the recording to you guys as well. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So let's first begin by talking about what is Desk Connect. Desk Connect is the full bidirectional sync between Desk and Salesforce. Now, by default, out of the box, Desk Connect is going to sync with the three main CRM objects between Desk and Salesforce, meaning the case, the contact, and the account. Now, we had an old integration with Salesforce that used a custom case object inside Salesforce, and now with Desk Connect, now we use the standard case object in Salesforce, and that's completely out of the box, so you can take care of all those canned reports that are already set up for you in Salesforce. Now, we don't only sync the case, contact, and account objects, but we also sync the interactions on a case as well. So, for example, if you're reaching out to your customers and your customers are reaching out to you, those interactions are being captured in Desk, and we push those interactions to the case in Salesforce. So now anyone looking at the case in Salesforce is going to be able to see the complete customer history and all the interactions you've had with the customer. Now that's really great, but why is it important, and why do we even want to connect sales and service? Well, there's a couple of main points, and it's about achieving that 360-degree view of a customer. It's about having a complete view from the customer history to all the interactions that customers had, to even information about a sales opportunity that you've had. So from a sales perspective, we know that your sales team is going to be more effective if they have access to customer service cases. And that's one of the main features of Desk Connect, being able to connect your sales team that's living in Salesforce and customer service team that's living in Desk. So for example, let's say your customer service team is creating cases in Desk and syncing cases into Salesforce. And now when your sales team is looking at an opportunity and they're looking at the contact, they're able to see all the customer service history from that contact. So they'll be able to now go into a sales deal and say, hey, I know you've had 7 open cases with us. We've solved the last 4 and looks like the last 3 are in development. And ultimately, this is going to make your customers happier, and it's going to make your customers trust you more as a brand. It's also going to make your sales team more effective in the end. Now, on the flip side, we know that your service team is going to have a better experience with the customer if they have some sales data coming in. The salesperson can write a note or an internal case comment in Salesforce saying, hey, I talked to the customer and they're a little bit unhappy about this one thing, so just to let you know before you reach out to the customer. So again, ultimately, it's about having that 360-degree view of the customer. So let's talk about a few prerequisites that are needed before enabling this amazing feature. The first thing that's needed is that you need to be a Salesforce customer and have a Salesforce Professional Edition or above. Next, in Salesforce, we want to make sure that the case priority pick list values have been added, and those are high, medium, and low. Then the other field in Salesforce that we're going to check is the case status. As a Salesforce system administrator, we need to go into Setup and make sure that the case priority and the case status have the correct values. Now for status, it's going to be new, open, pending, resolved, and also closed. Then on the desk side, we want to make sure that you're a professional plan or above, in addition to being a Salesforce professional plan above. Next is object mapping. Now remember that the three standard objects that we map are case, contact, and account. In Desk, we call Salesforce contacts customers. So any customer records that are created in Desk using Desk Connect, these will get synced over to your Salesforce contacts. In Desk, we call Salesforce accounts companies. So whenever you create a company in Desk, those will get synced over to Salesforce as accounts. And for contacts, we actually use the email address as the unique identifier, and also the phone number to match the contact record in Salesforce. And then for account, we use the account name to match the record. Now, let's talk about Desk cases to Salesforce cases. We're able to create these and have them under the correct account and contact in Salesforce by editing the layout. We want to make sure that in Salesforce that your standard case object is actually visible within your contact and account layouts. So if you're using an install package integration, which we do offer, you'll notice that these cases are going to a custom object called Desk.com cases. Using Desk Connect, what we do is sync to the native case object that comes with Salesforce, so you as an administrator can run better reporting in Salesforce and create dashboards. Next, let's talk about things to consider post-enablement. When we enable Desk Connect, only new cases, customers, and company records that are created or edited in either system will sync over. So if you have any historical data, then all you need to do as an agent or administrator is initiate a bulk update. So you don't necessarily have to change the status or any other fields, but once you open a case and edit, the system will be able to sync the case over to Salesforce. Now, one more thing to note about the standard case object is the cases get synced over the native case object. So within the related list in Salesforce, you want to make sure that this object, the case object, is visible. If you're not, then you'll need to contact the Salesforce administrator and actually edit that layout. Now for syncing time. Whenever you make edits from Desk.com or create a case or customer, these updates will instantaneously sync over to Salesforce. When making changes on the Salesforce side, it does take up to 5 minutes to appear within Desk. Next here is field mapping. What's great about the Desk Connect is that we not only give the ability to bi-directionally sync information, but on top of that, you can also map fields. If you have custom fields created in Salesforce, you have the ability to map those over to Desk. So your Desk agents have the ability to see that information as well. So here are the standard field mappings per object. So when we enable Desk Connect for cases, we'll be able to map the status, priority, subject, and description without any additional setup. For contacts, it'll be the name, title, phone, and email. And for account, it's the account name. And these are the standard fields that will get automatically mapped once we enable Desk Connect. Now, if you want to map your custom fields, here are the 4 data types that we have the ability to sync with, and that's text, pick list, checkbox, and date. Our next point here is that case numbers are not synced by default. Desk case numbers are different from Salesforce case numbers. So in order for your Salesforce representative to be able to log in and quickly see which desk case is associated with the corresponding Salesforce case, we can achieve this with a custom field mapping. And if you would like more information on creating this workflow, then you can always reach out to our support team, support@desk.com, to get more information on that. Now, our last point here is that the Desk Connect integration does not count against the Salesforce API limit. So for those of you administrators that are always conscious about your API limits that comes with your plan, luckily with Desk Connect, you don't have to worry about that at all. All right, so a lot of information here. Let's go ahead and walk through the actual setup. Give me just 1 second to switch over here. All right, so here we are in the admin console of Desk. And when you're logged in, make sure that you're logged in with the user that has the highest level of permissions. And typically this is going to be the billing administrator. Let's see here. So we're in the Desk admin console, and then we'll go over to the gear icon to the right here, and we'll click in. And this is the settings that we're hopping into. And then on the left panel, you'll scroll down just a little bit and see Desk Connect. Now, if you are not seeing Desk Connect here, then what you'll actually need to do is email to the support team, support@desk.com, to actually have this enabled to make it show up. Now, once they enable that for you, you'll actually go ahead and see this toggle. Mine's already on, but it'll be in the off position, and we'll just go ahead and turn it on. It'll take just about 30 seconds to a minute for the sync to actually occur. Just make sure you just remain logged in and wait for it to finish. Now, what we need to do is once Desk Connect is synced and turned on, then you'll have these 3 tabs that'll appear, which is Company, Customer, and Cases. So what we'll need to do is walk through the actual relationship between Desk and Salesforce. So first, with companies, again, that are accounts in Salesforce, we want to decide, do we want the sync to happen from Salesforce to Desk for our companies in Desk and accounts in Salesforce? And also, do we want that same sync to happen from Desk to Salesforce? And again, typically you'll want to turn these on, but it is optional to remain that off. And I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. You'll do the same thing for your customers. Again, your customers in Desk or contacts in Salesforce. You can decide between the interaction, do I want my customers to sync from Salesforce to Desk and Desk to Salesforce? And again, I'll go ahead and turn these on. You do have the option of leaving them off. And then lastly, we'll hop over to cases, and the same thing. We'll decide if we want our case interactions to sync from Salesforce to Desk and Desk to Salesforce. Now, although I said that the previous 2, the company and customer, those are sometimes optional, and some customers do choose to leave those off, I would definitely choose to leave the cases on as you begin. And then we can go ahead and save those settings. And we'll give it just a second. All right, there we go. Now what we want to do is hop over to the Salesforce side, and then I'll go ahead and pop over here. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that some of those fields that we talked about in terms of priority and status have the correct values. So what I'll do is I'll go to my setup here. And then I like to just quickly search for my cases here. All right, perfect. It's under Build, Customize, and Cases, and I'll hop into Fields. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to Priority. There we go. And I'm going to go Edit. Oh, let me actually go back here. Let's actually just click into it. All right, perfect. So we'll click into it, and then here we do see that the correct values are shown low, medium, and high. And we have our default set as medium, so perfect. Now, so just to talk about this just a little bit. Now, in Salesforce, the priorities are set to low, medium, and high. But in Desk, you'll notice that the priorities are set from on a scale of 1 being low and 10 being high. So the way that Desk Connect handles the actual sync is that any Desk values that are 1 to 4 are automatically assigned to low. 4 to 9 are set to medium, and only the 10 value in Desk will assign a high value in Salesforce. All right, so we're all set on that. And then once again, we'll go back to our fields. And then now we'll go to status. And then we'll click into status here. And now we'll make sure that we are seeing the correct values here. And then I do see the values new, open, pending, and resolved. And we do want to make sure that our default value for new is set, and as well as for closed. All right, so that looks great. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that these things, the actual sync is showing up on our contacts and our accounts. So we want to edit the page layout. So now what we can do is a really easy way to get there is just hop into your contacts, and I'll actually go into any contact here. And then you'll go ahead and just edit the layout here. A really simple way to get there. Now what we want to do is we want to go to the related list. All right. And then in the related list, you'll look for your cases object here. And mine's already grayed out, meaning it's already been added. But if I were to go ahead and just drag it back, you'll see that it's a little bit darker. And then I can go ahead and drag it into my list here. And then I can even go ahead and change the order if I want. Let's say I want it to appear after my opportunities or before. I can go ahead and drag and drop here as so. All right. And then we'll go ahead and give it a quick save. I'll say yes to that. And then we'll do the same thing for our accounts. And another really easy way to get to the page layout for accounts is go into any actual account. And then I'll go to edit layout. And then once again, I'm going to hop down to the related list here. And once again, my cases object here in the related list is already grayed out, meaning it's already been added. But same thing, I can go ahead and drag it over. And once again, I can go ahead and drag it if I wanted to change the order at all. All right, so we've set up our page layout so that the cases object shows up in our contacts and our accounts. So great. Now that's all that we need to do. Let's give it a quick save. So now what we can do is hop back over to the desk side and now talk about field mappings. So once again, we're in the admin console. We're in the settings, which is the gear icon. We're under Desk Connect, and then we'll go to field mappings here. All right, so what we want to talk about is the two types of mappable fields. Under each one of these, the company, customer, and case, you'll see something similar, which is a category of mappable fields here. And if we scroll down a bit, we'll then see non-configurable fields. Again, the non-configurable fields are those that are automatically mapped and we can't change those. And then the mappable fields are the ones that we can actually change. Let's say you have some custom fields in Salesforce, we can go ahead and map those to custom fields in Desk. And we can do that for the company, the customer, the same setup. We have the mappable fields, and at the bottom, we have the non-configurable fields. Now let's actually take a look at the case because we do want to make sure that the priority and status are set up correctly. Again, once again, we do have the mappable fields here, but once again, we have the non-configurable fields, which we actually want to take a look at. So now we see that Desk Connect has mapped over our status list. Again, new to new. Closed is actually resolved, resolved, open, pending, and pending. So perfect. That looks great. And then as I mentioned, the priorities, again, the way that Desk Connect handles the priority syncing is that any high values in Salesforce will have a 10 value in Desk. And then it doesn't show the scale, but the medium value in Salesforce is going to have a 5 to 9 in Desk. And then a 1 to 4 in Desk will have a low value in Salesforce. And that looks to be correct. So we can go ahead and just give it a quick save as well here. All right. Now, one thing that I wanted to do is some of our customers like to actually be a little bit choosy with which cases that they actually want to sync over. They say that I don't want every single Salesforce Desk and Desk to Salesforce case interaction to sync over. They say in Desk, I want to be able to choose which case I actually sync, and we can actually achieve that through a custom field. So one thing that we'll do first is actually set up the custom field. So we'll hop over into cases. And then once again, we'll choose cases from our case management list. And then it auto-populates us into the custom fields here. And so we can go ahead and click on Add Field here to create a custom field. We can simply give it a name and then a key. The key is going to be just a reference, a name to reference the custom field. Just make sure you don't include any spaces. So we can use underscores if you'd like. And then the data type that we're actually going to use is going to be a list field. Okay, so let's actually take a look at the one that I've already set up here. And I went ahead and named it Sync to Salesforce. I'll go ahead and click in. And again, sync to Salesforce, and I use the key sync underscore to underscore Salesforce. The data type is a list, and then the actual values is going to be just yes and no. So I can go ahead and add values by clicking on the plus sign here, as so, and I added the 2 values. And I actually want to have the no value as a default value. So I can go ahead and select top data value, and that's going to be no. If you do need to change the order of that, you can actually go ahead and click toggle the arrows to change it. And again, I want the default value to be no. So I'll go ahead and update that. All right, so perfect. Let's hop back over to our settings now. And we'll jump back into Desk Connect. And now we can go ahead and take a look at the sync interactions for our cases. So what we want to look at is for our Salesforce to Desk cases, we can go ahead and just leave that on. But the use case that we're looking at is that for Desk to Salesforce, we want to go ahead and be able to decide in Desk whether we want to sync this to Salesforce, yes or no. So the condition that we set up here is that you can just go ahead and click the plus sign to add a condition. And then what I did was all your custom fields will show up here in this list. And so I selected my sync to Salesforce custom field. And when that custom field value is yes, then and only then will the Desk case sync over to Salesforce. Again, and we call this selective sync for cases for Desk Connect. All right, and we can go ahead and take a look. I'll hop into our agent console here, and then let's actually just hop into a sample case here. So on the right-hand side, we have our case details, and then if we scroll down, we'll see our custom fields at the bottom here. And now we do see our Sync to Salesforce custom field right here. And then, so what'll happen is only when this is changed to yes, and when I update, will this case actually sync over to Salesforce. If it's selected at no, and if we leave it at no and update, then again, this case will not sync over. All right, so that is the Desk Connect integration and the setup. I'll go ahead and pause there, and let's see if we have any questions here. All right, at the moment we do not. I'll go ahead and just review some other information, and then we'll see if we have any more questions later on. So some great resources for you guys. If you have any questions about the Desk Connect setup, or even any other questions about Desk, whether it be admin functions and setting up Desk, or how to use Desk as an agent, visit support at Desk.com. We have a lot of great resources there. We also have our video support center, which has a lot of great how-to set up and use Desk videos. These videos range from 2 to 3 minute videos all the way up to 30-minute or hour webinars where they'll actually walk you through some of the setup. We also have our other webinars that you can find on support.desk.com. We have our admin setup training as well as our agent training. And we also have brand new our office hours that we're hosting on a weekly basis. So if you have any questions, whether they be Desk Connect or desk setup or desk use related, go ahead and sign up for the office hours. And lastly, we don't want you to feel stuck. So if you have any questions at all about the setup, please feel free to reach out to us at support@desk.com. We are definitely here to help you guys out.